Yeah, it's the Saul Alinsky tactic that I've repeated ad nauseum at this point, but it's exactly as you laid out, for the left to accuse us of what they themselves are doing. They're the ones who want to run us off the road, but they don't want the public knowing or thinking that, and so they just make it like it's us so that they could never be blamed themselves. How could it ever be us wanting to run Trump supporters off the road? We're the victims of such nonsense. And again, it's crazy, but they do it time and time again. And sadly, it seems that they got the jump on this story, on your own story, because even a lot of conservative media haven't really touched it in the years since. I guess maybe they got too afraid. You read how CNN and the rest report on it, KKK act and this and that.
Yes.
Very scary, but as you also point out, no traffic citations, right? No criminal complaints whatsoever, but they're trying to sue you guys personally, civilly. Talk to us about that.
Yes, so it is a civil lawsuit. They're suing us claiming they have emotional damage and want financial compensation. So these are members of our administration, White House officials, and Democrat politicians suing average Americans for emotional damage because they didn't like our exercise of free speech. But having been in this for 3.5 years, we can see past that and see on a bigger scale what they're doing here is attacking free speech rights for all Americans. They are circumventing our Constitution, infringing on constitutional rights by claiming they have their civil rights violated. And seeing as we cashed out our 401k to retain a legal defense to defend our right to free speech, we've run out of money. It's not about the money. They're not after that. We have nothing left. What they're after are free speech rights. And we have popcorned up in Trump's impeachment trial and also the 14th Amendment hearing to keep Trump off the ballot. This is an elaborate ruse to interfere with elections and conservative free speech. So we are determined to fight back, expose the truth, and get a win for free speech rights for all Americans.
And that is so important. I'm so glad that you're bringing that up, because it's the same thing we saw with January 6th, right? Even all these years later, we just heard the DOJ saying that they're going to go after even more people who were nowhere even near the Capitol. They weren't inside the Capitol. We saw certain people who, I guess, well, I'll leave unnamed, removing some barricades. So people who came later from the Trump rally had no clue that the ground that's normally for public access now was supposed to be barricaded off. And now they're going to go after even more people, because the idea is no one will be allowed to protest the Biden regime no matter what, no matter how peaceful, no matter if you're just holding your sign, nothing. They don't care. You will go down for. They're going after pro-life protesters as well, activists. And I think your case on the 2020 election campaign season, I wonder if that kind of got their mind thinking, because again, we saw the entrapment with January 6th, later on at the turn of the new year. I wonder if you guys are kind of the trial balloon on this. And so also it seems that when it comes to those who are going after you, there's some George Soros connections as well. Can you lay that out?
Yes, ma'am. There are 20 D.C. attorneys coming after our single income family. They are funded by multiple nonprofits that receive funding from George Soros. This is a huge operation. We feel the full weight of the government. We have little to no resources or voice. We have applied to over 50 First Amendment right nonprofits for legal defense or resources, and we've been denied from every one, claiming they specialize in religious freedom, but not political free speech. And so we've been really disheartened to see there's this hole in the defense of our First Amendment right for political free speech. We're doing a great job with religious freedom. What about everything else? And the left is aiming straight for that hole in the armor, and it's becoming more common. We're seeing this happen more and more. The Ku Klux Klan law has actually been used against Dinesh D'Souza for his 2000 Mules documentary. It's been used against Brandon Stratka with the Walk Away campaign. It's been used against Trump for January 6th. And I believe, like you said, they're using this as some sort of a blueprint or template to see if they can roll it out and set a precedent at the federal level that impacts all Americans, regardless of who you support, but they come for us first.
They do. And, again, I know everyone always draws the 2020, those riots, and they draw the comparison with how J6ers, how yourself and others are being treated. But the big issue there as well is all those people who rioted through BLM, they got paid for it as well, right? All these years later, they're not even being paid for what they did, all the destruction they wrought. We know also in 2017 with President Trump's inauguration, the D.C. looked like it was under attack by just how crazy people were going and, setting fires and setting off fireworks and trying to use those almost as firearms. I mean, very, very scary. And we see how each are being treated, right? The former, the BLM, Antifa, the rest, they're called free speech, right? And then you guys who actually were exercising free speech, they just take that away.